Welcome everyone to episode number 4 of Toolhouse Rock, powered by the Ecosystem cluster. Today we have this very interesting project called Wonderverse, and before we go or we dive deeper into it, just a quick reminder for those joining us for the first time or checking the video. So the idea of Toolhouse Rock is to give an overview of different tools and potential solutions that either ecosystem actors or sub-DAOs or meta-DAOs or any scope could use to potentially enhance their productivity, their reach. They're different categories actually. But the idea is to give this quick overview, and if someone wants to dive deeper, they can do it or engage. But it's just a way of bringing cool projects and give them some visibility. So before we start, the same disclaimers as always. Our views are our own. So we are not representing the whole of Maker. There are a lot of possible inaccuracies as information changes very, very fast. So we apologize for that. Try to check everything before making any important decision. And then, the classic, not financial advice and not legal advice. So this is just for informational purposes only. Diving deeper on Wonderverse now. So today we're joined by Ed and Andros, and I will give it to them very, very soon. But before that, these are the scopes that we have identified that they might benefit the most from this application. So ecosystem, infrastructure, and growth, where we see the improvement categories are collaboration, transparency, innovation, and governance. So without any more Juan Radio, as Tade was saying earlier, I'll give it to Ed and Andros so that they can do more justice in this introduction. Thank you for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, do you want to do the?
Yeah, of course. Hey everyone, I'm Andros. I'm joined here with Ed, and we're at Wonderverse. We essentially build coordination tooling for decentralized teams. So we help DAOs, NFT projects, gaming guilds, DeFi protocols, etc., manage some of their grants, their proposals, and how that flows into operations like projects and tasks. And we help manage how value gets attributed and contributors get paid as well. So far, we've worked with over 1,000 Web3 orgs like Gitcoin, DYDX, Bankless DAO, Merit Circle, etc., and have just under 60,000 contributors on the platform. So really excited to see how we could support the MakerDAO ecosystem.
Hey everyone, and this is Ed, the head of partnerships at Wonderverse. Just to +1 to everything that Andros said, I think we'll give you a presentation today using the format that was suggested, but also we'll show you a live demo today. What you'll see in the live demo is a lot of the features were actually co-built and co-created with partners. I think for us, our philosophy is just working more closely with folks who use our product. So a lot of our products are driven by partners telling us here's the problem that they're facing, and we work very closely with them to scope out and build out those features to make sure that they're addressing real problems that particular partners are facing. So just wanted to put that in mind specifically because as we go through the presentation and there's Q&A, I just wanted to be there in the back of your minds that there's a lot of room for collaboration to co-build on the solution. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. So I guess I'll share my screen now and go through the presentation. So. Can you see my screen?
Yep, looking good.
Okay, awesome, cool. Okay, so yeah, so as Andros was saying, we're Wonder. We're building coordination tools for digital communities and teams. What problem is Wonder solving? We're solving coordination problems within Web3 teams, whereas Web2 is very centralized, dedicated teams working on solving the same problems, and there's a lot of infrastructure in place and guide rails in place to make sure everyone's working on the same thing. Progress is very tracked and very tied to compensation and process flows. Web3, there's a shift. It's more about decentralized teams of contributors that might have varying degrees of involvement. Like you could have someone who's like a core team member, you could have someone who's a core contributor, and you can also have someone who's a community member, contributes time to time. But they're all driven by passion for solving a specific problem or participating in a particular community. And so this Web 2 to Web 3, there's a shift that creates new coordination challenges. So how does Wonder solve this coordination problem? The first is through very nuanced role system. So it's based on detailed actions via Discord style roles that can be token gated. So there's different ways to assign roles to Wonder. There's role-based invite links, there's token gating, NFT gating. You can also import Discord roles over, and you can also connect your guild XYZ. On the right side, it showed examples of what that looks like. This is an example of roles. You'll see that it's not binary. It's not either you're a super admin, you have access to everything, or you have access to nothing. We have very detailed action specific roles that you can easily modify. So, and we'll get into that a little bit when we do the live demo. The second way we solve coordination problems is that we provide greater flexibility for MakerDAOs with pods. So what pods are is essentially like a sub-team or sub-DAO guild. I guess in this case, MakerDAOs is the preferred terminology, where the pods can have their own workspaces, their own documentation. They could also have like their own budgets, Gnosis safe wallets, permissions, and privacy levels. So essentially, like they are a separate entity in terms of operations, but they're still connected to the overall mothership. So in this case, like in this workspace, like we have content pods, community pods, etc., all with its own set of permissioning, privacy levels, memberships as well, and then that also bleeds into they have their own roles and access systems, as well as wallets and payment systems. And again, we'll go into that in the live demo. The third way we solve coordination problems is we have a seamless end-to-end coordination flow. So I think what Wonder does really well is that from creating governance like proposals and voting, it flows really well into and seamlessly into milestones and sprint planning. So you can create a proposal, you can vote on it. When it's approved, it turns into an internal task or project that you can assign people, or it could be a bounty that you can engage external community members. And it also flows really well into payments, whether it's like in-app or off-platform, as well as flowing into building a reputation system for contributors. So in this particular case, I just show an example of a grant where an approved grant, you can create a pod workspace, so that there's that seamless flow between approving someone for a grant and then creating a workspace to track progress for transparency, and then some public bounties that folks can work on, as well as like sprint planning with Wonder. The fourth way we help solve coordination problems is that we also recognize that in Web3, there's a lot of different tooling, and they may be solving specific problems, and there are some that are more commonly used than others. And so I think Wonder does a really good job of integrating with commonly used tools. Here are just some examples of tools that we have integrations with, and of course, like there's more to come. There's like Snapshot for voting, Guild XYZ for relationships or membership. we're integrated with Utopia, Discord, Coordinate, Notion, GitHub, OtterSpace, etc. And I think our philosophy is that we will build features to solve specific problems, but we also recognize that you can, for example, you can do voting inside Wonder for proposals, but if your organization chooses to, we can also export that to Snapshot, for example. But we don't force the user to use Snapshot if they don't want to, because we recognize like sometimes you just want a simple yes or for or against type of proposal. But we are integrated with many different tools, and of course, like we're open to further integrations in the future as well. So how do we improve existing processes? As Juan mentioned, there's like three different areas to highlight. There's the governance. So Wonder supports like nuanced roles to help organize holders, whether it's voter committees, delegates, core units, or external experts into specific roles with specific things, permissions, access that they can execute on. As well as enabling maker holders participation in token-gated or role-gated voting of proposals, discussions, and creating an audit trail for transparent governance, which ties into transparency because like we have a really good balance between transparency and private workflow. We have the ability to make workspaces as well as pods have public or private access. So you could still have Wonder as a private workspace, but then you might have some pods that are public. For example, like if you want to run public bounties or if you want public votes, but that are still gated, you can do that. I think with transparent governance and voting, task bounties, submissions, and payments, because it's all integrated together and you have that smooth end-to-end flow, that really supports transparency for the organization. And finally, with collaboration, Wonder enables a lot of rich customizations and flexibility in terms of roles, in terms of like how work is set up, as well as working between like organizations. So I think with this flexibility, we can support different configurations of collaborations, which will address like the different needs of the MetaDAOs and the teams. And I think like because it's flexible, it can also evolve over time. So if a MetaDAO or sub-DAO wants to configure work a certain way, they're not stuck to it forever because Wonder enables customization and flexibility. Other areas include impact is just the ability to track progress very easily from end to end, so you can measure impact and track it. And then finally, the innovation is that with collaboration or shared workspaces, we support multiple organizations having a shared workspace as well as shared notifications. So that can help MetaDAOs explore partnerships with organizations very easily, and then ensure that everyone's aligned on responsibilities, due dates, but also that because of that will increase collaboration with other partners. We also have community features that will help surface ideas from the greater community that aligns on mission, and yeah, we can talk a little bit more about that. And then just wanted to just ensure that to set our expectations or our understanding. So our understanding of Endgame and how it relates to sort of what we're working on is that Endgame leans heavily into MetaDAOs, helping moving from a more centralized central body into different MetaDAOs that focus on specific specializations, but that are still connected through the central mothership through tokenomics or infrastructure or people. And then I think like from that, by having like the different MetaDAOs, like the MetaDAOs will have its own governance processes. It might have its own like, you know, token gating for governance or participation. But it's essentially like different, essentially different group or team that has its own like treasury, has its own roles and access. And there's a lot of flexibility and customization for each one, depending on what the needs are. So that's our understanding that we're trying to ground with in our demo. So yeah, just wanted to repeat that. So yeah, so next we have a demo. I'm just gonna go over to Wonder. Yep. Can everyone see it? Just want to make sure like it's still sharing the same window.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Maybe I'll increase the size a little bit too. Sorry, I like to. Oops. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool. So this is a workspace for MakerDAO. This is the project homepage, which kind of gives you like an overview of everything. So the way that Wonder is structured is that there's like the workspace, which is MakerDAO, but then underneath that there's the different pods or MetaDAOs, and then each of these different levels has its own access and permissioning that we'll get into. But I just wanted to like sort of mention that at the very beginning. And so here, like I was not very creative. I just called it MetaDAO 1, MetaDAO 2, but then I also had one that was just called Innovative Products because I just wanted to show a little bit more example. But yeah, so like this is the MakerDAO workspace, the pods, and then the different work items. So this is an aggregated view because we're at the project home, but it also depends on like what permissions you have and which will allow you to see certain things. So for example, I see this logo design contest bounty because I actually have permissions into the pod this is attached to. But if you don't have the proper permissions, you will not see it. And then here you also have like milestones, proposals, as well as members of the workspace, and then collaboration workspaces that you have with other organizations, and then grants, as well as documentation. And we'll go into all of that that later. But so wanted to show one of the things what makes us I think special in that like we provide a lot of like very nuanced permissioning. So I'm going into the MakerDAO roles right now. And so this would be roles for the overall workspace. So by default, there's owner role, which gives access to like everything. These are like your super admins. And then by default, the second role is a core team role, which gives access to more of like a subset of things. But again, as I mentioned in the slides before, you can toggle on and off specific actions. But you'll notice like these are very like specific actions that that members can take. And then there's a contributor role, which is really just participating in proposals, discussions, and getting assigned work. But what I wanted to highlight was actually the ability to create roles and specific roles. So for example, like I have a delegate role, which sorry, I'm not extremely familiar with the exact permission, so I kind of just took some creative freedom. But I said like a delegate, was able to review tasks. And so like because of this, then if you assign someone a delegate role, then they're able to review tasks like for the entire workspace. You'll notice that, like you can token gate the role as well with NFT or ERC20 token. You can also import your Discord roles as well to map your Discord role over to a Wonder role. So I also created roles for like facilitator, for example. Facilitator might be able to create tasks, basically anything related to tasks. But then external consultant, might not really have much roles because they're really there to participate in discussions, et cetera, et cetera. And then I wanted to show an example of token gating. So I created one where it was a maker holder. And so like if I want to add a token gate, I said these are some of the token gates that I've created. I created a maker holder. So as long as you have at least one maker token, then you're considered a maker token. So yeah, so I apply this maker holder to role. Okay, so that means that anybody who has at least or who creates an account on Wonder, connects their wallet, if they have at least one maker, then they can automatically get this role. So yeah, so that's an example of the specific roles and wallets. I'll just kind of flip over here to like I created something called sample DAO. The reason why I'm flipping over is that I didn't connect, of course, Guild over to the maker workspace or sample workspace because yeah. So I just want to show you like what it looks like if I were to connect a guild. So in this case, like for sample DAO, which is a fake DAO that I created, for a contributor role, like if you had this role on Guild, then you automatically get this role for contributor for sample DAO. And then for stationary lovers, I have a stationary lovers role because I love stationary. I connected my Discord server where there's a stationary lovers role that I imported over, and that connects to this Wonder role. So if you did that, then you don't have to you just have to manage the roles once, you set it up, and then you can kind of like set it and forget it. You don't have to manually like set up roles and whatnot. The next thing I just want to show you was related to wallets. So the workspace can have its own set of wallets, Gnosis Safe wallets or MetaMask wallets, but then the pods can also have their own. I didn't set up a wallet for MakerDAO, but here's an example of sample DAO, where I can have like different wallets that I can use to pay out different contributors, or I can like pay out bounties, or I can use it to give out grants as well. So you can connect all these like different wallets for the workspace. But again, like this could be at both the workspace level, but then also at the pod level. And then from go back to Maker. So from Maker, there's also, speaking of like more nuanced like permissioning, for documentation, I know there's a lot of documentations and processes in Maker. And so like we have a documentation section where you can create different categories and add links to documents. So we support linking to the documentation because we recognize that like you don't want documents in like two different places and then update in one place, but then forget to update in another. And so instead, like we support linking, so you can just update it from its source. But I think the benefit here is that you can also gate it. So for example, MakerDAO frameworks and important documents, I added the Constitution and different frameworks. It's a Google Doc link, but it's only accessible to members, as an example. But then for developer documentation, for technical documentation, I made it public so that like anybody can see it, like if they were to go to this workspace or developer guides, because sometimes you might want public links, but then you might also want things that are only accessible to your own members. So these are some things that are at the workspace level, but then I'm going to go into like specifically like what it looks like in a pod, and then also like explore some of the other things I wanted to cover. So this would be like sort of aligned to the goals of moving to more meta DAOs and sub DAOs. One of the goals is to be able to generate more like innovative products and services. So I created a pod that was public. So the workspace previously was private. So you have to be a member to like participate in things. But this is a public pod for innovative products. So from here, I want to quickly like show settings. So from here, like you'll notice like there's a lot fewer roles. One of them I created innovative products facilitator, not very creative. But then over for this role, like you can then toggle on and off certain permissions for the role, or you can like token gate it, etc. But you'll notice that this innovative products pod has its own set of roles and permissioning. You can also configure a wallet for innovative products. The idea is that the MetaDAOs would have its own budgets or operating treasury, so that they can operate very autonomously, because as long as you can have access to and also manage your own roles as well as wallet, then you can operate very autonomously. Yes. So got a question in the chat. What type of tokens are supposed for the token gate? We support ERC20 tokens. We support ERC, I think 1155s. And right. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So just for the recording, Pro is asking if 721s are supported as well. We cannot hear you very well. They're in the back, but yeah.
Sorry, yeah, 721s are supported as well.
Cool. Yeah, so just wanted to also, so after the role, wanted to show bounties. So bounties are things that you might get multiple submissions for. So a difference between a task and a bounty is task is something that you assign one person. You could either make it like first come, first serve, because especially if you're working with 4 teams, you don't really care who works on it. You just care that someone works on it. So first come, first serve, or you can apply an application layer so that either only folks, there's multiple configurations, but some configurations are only certain roles can apply for this to take on these tasks, or only certain roles can just automatically take the task. Bounties are more open-ended, where multiple submissions can be made. So things like logo design contest for this new innovative product number 1. Again, not very creatively named, but you can have different folks submit submissions for these bounties. You can request edit, you can leave comments, and then like you can also approve and then like make payments. You can also like change the sorry, my brain is blanking. the number for the bounty as well. So that enables you to support contests and competitions if you want to use variable bounties, and then you can pay like through your Gnosis Safe wallet or MetaMask. So we can support bounties that way. Another thing that I also wanted to cover was grants. So even within a MetaDAO, like if you wanted to offer grants, like you can create a grant system. So put up a grant, fill out the details of the purpose, description, requirements, and then you can set a budget to give out grants to folks. And then from here, like when you do approve grants, it will just you can also create additional pods to track progress of those grants. So it supports a lot of transparency and seamless flow in operations. Do you want us to answer the questions now in the chat, or do you want us to answer it at the end?
It's up to you guys. If you feel that it's on topic for what you're describing, feel free to go more in depth right now, or if you think that some section that you will present is coming, you can also take them later.
Yeah, maybe we'll answer it after. Just so that we can answer all the questions at the same time. So, but I'll go back to the chat after. Yeah. So I think one last thing I wanted to cover is that like recognizing that there's also an emphasis on governance and proposals. So you can create proposals. Sorry, actually, I'll just go to the proposal section. You can create proposals whether at the overall project level or the workspace level. So you can create proposals at the maker workspace level, or you can create proposals at the pod level. So I think that supports also like the idea that MetaDAOs can run its own governance process. So here are just two examples that I just pulled from recent proposals. If I click into it, if I click into it, you'll see like this is the proposal. You can vote for or against the proposal. You'll also see like the number of the votes, but you won't see like who actually voted for what. This was done intentionally so that there isn't undue influence if someone votes for one way or another. You could participate in discussions. And the discussions are then, of course, like tied to the proposals. You can also like add tags, due dates for the proposals. And if the proposals are approved, then they are recorded under actually, I guess I'll just approve it under approved proposals, and you also see it under tasks board, because it could be a project or tasks that you assigned somebody. We also support snapshot, exporting votes to snapshot. So again, I didn't set up snapshot for the test space for Maker. So I'll just go to like sample DAO. But yeah, so like these are all the proposals I created for sample DAO on Wonder, but then I exported some to snapshot, so that you might want to do like voting first on Wonder. And then if the vote calls for it, you can also export it to snapshot. So in this case, like, so should sample DAO should attend NFT NYC, it'll export it to your snapshot space, and then it will just leverage whatever voting system that you've decided on previously, like inside your snapshot. Yeah.
It also reads existing snapshot proposals that are open or closed, just so people can see what they can vote on.
Cool. I think the only thing I'll just do it really quickly, but just two more things that I'll cover is collaboration workspaces, because I think this helps with having like quicker or enabling quicker collaborations and innovations with the different metapods. Is the idea of like a shared workspace between two organizations. So in this case, Wonderverse and MakerDAO. We created this like shared workspace where like both teams can have access to it. You can invite more members to it, and then you can also like create tasks that you can assign to people even like outside of your own organization. So like in this case, like I could maybe assign something to someone from Maker, and then if you connect your Discord or Telegram integration here, you can then get notifications for the different tasks. So yeah, so like if you want to connect your Discord, if you want to connect your Telegram, then you'll also get like pings like this. So anytime like proposals are created or someone's assigned something, someone's completed something, you'll get notification to a specific channel that you specify, or you'll also get like a DM mentioning like, hey, like these are like people requested to join your workspace, or like, oh yeah, like this proposal was approved. So like you also get updates that it has been approved. And then I guess the only other thing that I'll really briefly touch on is we also the Wonderbot. So we created a Wonderbot which helps you which helps supports the tasks of community members, or of members of the workspace. Sorry, I'm having like a brain fog. So if you wanted to create, like, let's say, if you're working on like SEO strategy, for example, you can just ask the Wonderbot to, like create SEO strategy, and then it would auto-generate tasks to fit within a milestone that that you can of course like choose to accept or like modify. But the idea is that we're also trying to lean more heavily into AI, so that we can more easily like support the efficiency of work. So yeah, if you want to. yeah, so here's an example. If you want to create like a design sprint for the marketing team, this will then generate a list of tasks that you can accept or you can modify. We are trying to lean more heavily into this because we think that this can support more efficient work. Yeah, cool. I think I think that covers everything.
Yeah, we'll just try to go over some of the questions.
Super cool. Yeah, I don't know, Tim, if you want to jump on the. Oh, Tim actually left. Okay, he left the question, so I'm guessing he'll check later the recording. But yeah, I can read them out loud if you want. So the first one is, how do you handle when people leave or switch admin controls?
Yeah, so when you say when people leave, you mean when they leave the workspace, or when you mean I think basically what we do is that like other admins are able to just like, you know, edit the roles and you know, they can change up the sort of membership levels of another sort of like owner or contributor basically. So that's how we would handle, I think, when someone leaves the team or stops being an administrator. Oh yeah, so for reputation, you know, there are two different kind of things. I don't know if you've actually minted anything for Mint Kudos, but yeah, for completed tasks and bounties, you can actually mint your sort of completed task and bounty as an NFT. So in that sense, you can take away your completed work with you. And then also, I guess, like for local reputation, we do have this idea of like a leaderboard, you know, obviously just on like the number of completed tasks. This is, you know, more a little bit for fun and engagement, where you see like, you know, all time who's completed the most things, or, you know, done the most bounties and things like that. But, you know, for contributors in community, this might be an interesting way to engage. And then when milestones skip or scope creep. Yeah, so I think basically how we handle that, or we advise teams to do it, is basically like when things don't get completed in a particular milestone, you can just like sort of roll that into, roll the sort of, roll the tasks that aren't completed into the next roadmap piece, or like the next sprint or whatever that you would be setting up. And then any other integrations that we're excited about. Yeah, we're actually hoping to we're working with this organization called Inverter Network. And so, you know, they'll be helping us implement some of Drip's functionalities. So like streaming payments, so that, you know, contributors can get paid per time period as well, or get streamed their payments. So that's pretty exciting. And then Peyton asked, can you use Wonder to issue tokens as well? Yes, yeah. So we have this idea of a payments ledger. So once you've connected your sort of Gnosis, you can actually just choose to pay everyone, for example, on Polygon, and you can actually just like batch pay. And this basically creates a you know, batch payment transaction on the queue of your Gnosis. So you can like distribute your tokens, whatever it might be. And then Frank is asking, can you please go over how Wonderverse reduces bias in grant distribution, which can lead to unequal distribution of resources? How does your tooling monitor grants that are awarded and fail to use funds effectively, or recipients fails to deliver on promises? I think on the first point, yeah, I'm curious as to how y'all do, you know, grant distribution, but the idea is that, at least from the sort of organizations that we've worked with, there's normally a committee that basically votes on proposals, on like sort of grant applications. And I think the way that we can help is, you know, for example, you can create a proposal on who to vote with, who to vote for. For example, like, you know, you can vote for a grant application here, which can then, you know, enable your community or whatever or committee to actually like vote on which grant application should go through. And then in terms of, monitor grants that are awarded, do you have something to show pod workspace for the grant?
Yeah, like I think I have it here. So in sample DAO, let's see, I think one of these I approved, I believe. Oh yeah, okay. So this, yeah. So then like this is one of the sorry, like it's not filled out very much because it was just an example, but so this would be like a grant application that was approved. The idea was like I think build on the ecosystem, and then I said yeah, portfolio pages on sample DAO. And then here, like I already created a workspace. So these are the sample DAO grants. That grantees can then create like milestones that that could be made public, and then like you could then show progress, whether if you want to build it publicly, or you could keep it private. But then the sample DAO in this case, who is giving out the grants, can then still see the progress of the grantee and track it. And then I think with future integrations, like with Inverter Network, for example, then you could then give out grants on a streamed basis, rather than like either like upfront or at the end. That's tied to milestones. Right now it is like a manual approval or manual send of that grant. But with future integrations, like it would be tied to like pending like approved milestones that the group have accomplished.
Nice, super cool. I see that Pros has his hand up. I don't know, Pros, if that's by design or you actually hit it.
Yeah, it was intentional. Wanted to come
Nice.
on and kind of just make sure I'm understanding the product suite correctly, because to me this seems like a really neat way for DAOs to kind of interface via their operations. But I'm curious if I'm viewing it too limited, right? And one way I thought to maybe ask about that is with the roles themselves. I saw you could import them from Discord, but is there anything that ties the roles to like on-chain wallets, for instance, or is it all kind of off-chain or centralized or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, so in the roles, so you can basically gate them by tokens. So I don't know if that's what you meant. So guild is an option, but you can also obviously token gate by the number of Gitcoin that someone holds, or it could be an NFT that they're holding too. So I think that's if that's what you mean, that's kind of the on-chain way, where if I have this many tokens in my wallet, then I can access a particular role.
Yeah, absolutely.
How often is the token checked? Like, let's say we have like a channel or some working group for MKR holders, and you need at least 100 MKR. In that sense, what if I sold the tokens, and how often would you check to make sure that I'm still holding them?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think for us, the way we did it was like it will basically notify you if someone stops having the token, but obviously they might still have a core role that's not really tied just to the on-chain wallet, if you see what I mean. So we don't automatically remove roles.
You don't, or you do?
We do not automatically remove a role when like when someone like basically sort of like gets rid of their token.
We let you know, but we don't automatically remove it.
Okay. So you would always need like human intervention at some point.
Yeah, I think for that it was more the fact that some people, it might be like a requirement, at least with the orgs that we worked with, like a requirement for them to sort of build trust in the beginning. And then once that becomes, once that trust is built, then like, even if someone doesn't have the requisite token requirement, they're still, a core contributor, for example. So they're still like contributing work. So it makes sense for them for the roles just to be automatically removed. But yeah.
Nice. And was I going to say? Is the opposite also true? If someone gets the tokens, would the kind of like the super admins get this notification, or is it, or would they get the role automatically?
So for that, if the admins, super admins have set up like, oh, you can get the core contributor role if you meet this token requirement, then they can request that that role.
Nice. I don't know if there are any questions. I'm not seeing any in the chat. Frank, do you want to hop on the mic to?
Yeah. So thanks for answering that question with regards to how to handle grants and monitor if the recipient is putting in the work. So I think there's definitely a lot of development and transparency, being inclusive, right, and efficient processes that needs to happen in DAO governance. So I was wondering, with regards to privacy, obviously this is a centralized database, right? This is not living on IPFS. So how are you, what's the infrastructure to promote user privacy, security, and like data ownership? Since that's what the reason why I joined Web3 was mostly because of data ownership. Kind of fostering the collaboration, innovation of Web3.
Yeah, so I think for us, the approach that we've taken is that like for let me just see if I can go on something that you created. Let me just, yeah, so we also have a mission control, by the way, where you see everything that you've completed. But I'm just trying to turn something into, let's just do this one. Yeah, so our idea is that like for completed work, you can basically like mint a task, something that you've completed and has been approved. And the idea is that you can then put these things on chain so that obviously like, most of the data is, as you said, like sort of in a database, but I can then sort of mint a task sort of on Polygon. And the fact that I complete something always lives on chain, so you can take the data away with you. That's kind of like our idea of, providing some ownership over the data that you have. You might not want to like, put everything that you've completed on chain, but for specific parts of work that you're proud of, you can take that away with you. That's kind of the idea.
Nice. Yeah, this is super cool. Guys, if someone wants to try this out, what's the right way? Can they do it online permissionlessly, or do they need to get like early alpha access or something?
Actually, I mean, I'll sort of, you can sign up today and create a workspace. Normally how we work with, more dedicated partners is, we'll help you set everything up and go through like an onboarding process. But yeah, for sort of testing, you can, go to app.wonderverse.xyz now and actually create a test workspace.
Or they could even use the test workspace. We've been like,
yeah, you can also use
today.
Exactly.
I can paste like the invite links here, and then you could, yeah, you could just join it. Like everything that I put in there, of course, you could just delete it, or you can modify it. So I could just paste the invite links there. So you can kind of go through the process or experience of like, if you were to also invite other people to your workspace, what that would look like. And then even from there, you can then create your own workspace too.
I think we have one last question, but yeah, Peyton's saying, to ask a red team question, why should DAOs use Wonder rather than just adding custom plugins to the Discord for the features they need?
I think what we've realized with Discord is just because of the fact that it's a messaging app mainly, that a lot of things get lost and it becomes quite chaotic. And I think what we provide is basically like a dedicated space that links with different sort of existing tools like Snapshot, GitHub, etc. That just makes it more more focused on coordination and collaboration. But yeah, I'd say mainly that would be why we serve a better purpose there. But
yeah, I love everything you said, and also like I think sometimes like when you're doing like discussions versus like doing deep work, I think your like your mindset is a little bit different. Like you want to sort of like exit the space where you usually do discussions separately from where you do deeper work. And I think like with the I don't know if the question around like custom plugins is to like address like specific like features or like, you know, like different functions of work. But yeah, like I think also with our Discord notification integration and like Discord threads. So like you can also turn discussions over here into Discord threads. That kind of bridges that gap, but I think we just made a conscious decision to have work here as opposed to like living it on Discord. So yeah. Oh, thanks.
Nice. Yeah, and in terms of if someone's watching this later on YouTube or whatever platform and they want to reach out to ask any questions, what's the best way of reaching out?
Yeah, I don't know what people prefer for but we can do our Telegram.
Yeah, like yeah, maybe I'll just like put it here. Oh, sorry. What is it?
Just
Okay. Yeah, so those are our TG. But also like I'll just paste the admin invite link over here. I trust you all, but also this is just a test workspace. So if you do sign up through this link that I just pasted in the Zoom chat, you'll be an owner of the workspace, and then from there, like you can also get access to like the different pods I created and play around with that. I do want to mention, just reminder that like the permissions on the workspace level is different from the permissions of the pod levels. But because I pasted the owner or the admin role access, you will be able to like go into these pods, but you still need to be a member of them, like if you want to contribute or add discussions and whatnot to them. Yeah.
So you might have sent them privately to someone because I'm not seeing it in
the sorry, I
chat.
sent it to okay, yes. Okay, sorry, my bad. Let me paste it to everyone. I sent it to Dale. There you go. Sorry about that.
Perfect. So those are Telegram handles, right?
Yeah, those are our Telegram handles.
Perfect. It's at jackalpha_xyz, and the other one is at andros418. Perfect. Yeah. Any closing comments, guys, before we close this call?
No, I guess just from our side, like, yeah, we would be really excited to work with MakerDAO, and I think our philosophies are very aligned in terms of like how we designed this whole work structure, as well as endgame. In that, like, we do believe in like organizations leveraging MetaDAOs to have very specialized like governance and processes and roles and permissions and workflow to support the overall organization. So yeah, like when I read Endgame, like I thought it was totally aligned philosophically to like how we've been designing things. So yeah, we'd love to work with MakerDAO, whether it's like one or two teams or more. I think the way that we built this is that it's very modular. So it's not that the entire organization needs to move over, even though like, I mean, obviously that's great, but like I think typically like how we work is we can also like onboard one or two teams and then grow from there too. So yeah, but thank you for the opportunity to present today.
Yeah, just a minor clarification. After Endgame, and if this vote passes, it would be more with like the sub-DAOs or MetaDAOs or the ecosystem actors, and not with the core directly.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, that was the last thing. Yeah, Ed, Andros, thank you very much for coming. This has been great. Yeah, thanks for the presentation and the time.
Thanks for the time, everyone. Cheers. Thank you.